Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon.
I'm Matt.
We are going to give a little background of what God has done in Matt's life, what that looks like now, and what the Destiny House has done for him. The Destiny House is a house designed for people that are willing to give their life to the Lord and follow what He has in store for them. It's also a place for people that are struggling with drugs and alcohol to surrender their life and to live a life abundantly separate from drugs and alcohol. So let's get right into it. Matt, why don't you give us a little background of what your life looked like prior to giving your life to the Lord, and we'll kind of go from there.
All right. So growing up, I had a more or less a fairy tale life growing up as a kid, as a young teenager. I grew up playing sports, baseball and soccer predominantly. During the summers, it was vacations, to various places. I grew up going to private schools, elementary school, middle school, high school. Even my college was a Catholic Catholic college. Once I got into college, again, life was still good getting into college. I had full baseball scholarships, but it wasn't until I got into college when my addiction started really showing its face, its true colors. After college, I played a little bit more baseball, for a year. 2015, I had my son. And then, after a couple years, his mom and we broke up, and things kind of started going south there. I lost my job, and things, it turned into, it kind of really snowballing when I started looking for new jobs after I got fired from that job. And it was just denial, neglect, trying to get a job. And one thing led to another. I made a bad decision, surrounded myself with the wrong people, and the rest was history. It grabbed a hold of me and didn't let go. But fortunately, I was able to get the Lord in my life, and here we are.
Amen. At what point, when you surrendered your life to the Lord, what point did you decide that was going to be your way out? What revealed itself to you that allowed you to understand that this was going to be the way out, was through Jesus?
Well, when I was in my addiction, I wanted everything my way. And time and time again, nothing was working out. As badly as I wanted out, I would just fall in more and more. That's just how it is. It's what addiction does. It's what Satan does. When he gets you. As bad as we want out, it's just really tough to do that unless you allow God back in. You gotta open your heart to God and let Him work, and be open-minded to what God has for us. Obviously, He's got a plan for all of us, and we just need to be okay with that and to accept it. But once I did that, windows of opportunities started opening, different doors started opening for me to move forward in my life and to better myself. And when those opportunities came, I was just rolling with the punches that God was throwing, and it brought me to the Destiny House, which is ultimately bringing me closer to God.
Amen. Obviously, you just mentioned God bringing you to the Destiny House. What exactly did that look like? So you obviously you went to rehab. What did that look like? And then transitioning into the Destiny House, what was involved with that?
Well, like I said, when I was out there ripping and running, it's nothing but Satan taking over. every second, every minute, every day. When I first decided when I first actually took the action to get clean and sober and right the ship, on my way to my first rehab, God started talking to me. There was different little things, certain little God moments that were happening, and they were, it was just showing me that, there is a God out there. And as it took me, my first time getting clean didn't work out, but I wasn't fully committed to God my first time around. It was, there was a different approach that I was taking, and, it worked for a period of time, but in the grand scheme of things, I was still missing something. There's still a hole I needed to fill because it obviously didn't work. This time around, it was, my recovery is Christian based, where the first time it just wasn't the case. And with God involved this time, it feels like that hole is filled. It doesn't feel like I'm missing anything. It just seems like I'm gaining everything.
Amen. That's funny that you say that, because it leads me kind of to my next question. Since you come to the Destiny House, what is the most noticeable change that you've seen that God has done in your life? Starting from the Destiny House to where you're at now, what is the biggest thing that you've seen happen in your life as far as change in your attitude, your behavior, your chase towards God, your fire for God? Elaborate on that a little bit.
When I was a kid, being clean and sober, your parents, your elders, your superiors, or whoever are, they tell you the world is at your fingertips. And now that I've gotten through addiction, I've come out on the other side, and I'm clean and sober again, I feel like a kid at heart again. I in a sense, I feel like a kid. And it feels like I have the world back at my fingertips, or like before it was like there's just no hope in sight. But now it's nothing but opportunity.
Child of God, right?
That's right.
It's funny they say that. As far as the program goes, the curriculum that we have here, and what they're doing, what do you feel like the most helpful part of what the Destiny House is doing is for you?
The fact that the curriculum is circled around God. Like I said before, I was involved in different programs. The first time I tried to beat my addiction, and God wasn't the foundation of the recovery, and it just was not the answer. The curriculum, like you said, it's just circled around God. Things aren't going to change for the better unless that's the case. And I can't say that if I were doing it on my own that I would be out here being involved in the church, let alone even going to church, but Destiny House kind of instills that in our lives. And ultimately it's up to us to make the decision to do that, as we move on, which is, I don't see it happening in any other way. But the curriculum that circles around God, that is the most important thing in recovery, and to beat our addiction. There's just no other way.
Amen. Right now in your life, and this is kind of a redundant question, but it's good for people to hear. Do you feel that God is forming you into a disciple?
100%. I'm involved in the church, and the more I give myself to God, the more I pour into God, the more He's going to pour into me. We know that, right? And that's exactly what's happening. The windows of opportunity keep on opening up, and I I just sit back and I wait for them to open. I don't rush anything. I don't get anxious over it as much as I was, in my past life before I got here. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely. What do you think God is showing you your future looks like moving forward?
The sky's the limit. He's telling me it's bright. As long as I stay honed in on what his plan is for me, there's nothing but growth in store.
If there's somebody that's watching this right now that is struggling with drugs or alcohol, or they're on the fence about giving their life to the Lord, or maybe they're considering coming to the Destiny House, what would you tell them if they were right here?
Just be still, pause in what you're doing, and listen to what the people around you who are trying to help are saying, because it's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to help. 99 out of 100 of the people that are probably telling you to help have probably been where they're at. So as difficult as it might be to hear or do or whatever it is, the reality of it is that things need to change for the better, and it's never easy. There's a quote out there that somebody told me: "Are you willing to give up the man you are to become the man he always wanted you to be?"
That's great. Matt, we really appreciate you opening up with us. So I know some of those things are difficult to talk about, and hopefully one day we can get back into some more stuff later. So we appreciate that. And thank you guys for listening. Like we said, the Destiny House is for people that are willing to give their lives to the Lord, become disciples of Christ, and that are struggling with drugs and alcohol. And so we help with all these things. It's a place that God has facilitated to let his power enter your life and change everything. So we thank you very much for listening.